Everybody ready? Okay, Parshas Matos. So, Matos Maseh, there's a lot of different things that they discuss in Parshas Matos Maseh. It begins by Daber Moshe El Roshe Hamatos Livnei Israel. The very first thing of Parshas Matos Maseh discusses the laws of making a promise, neder and nedavah. Now, what is a neder? A neder is when a person says, I make a promise. I promise to donate $100 to the Beit Knesset. So let's say I make a promise, a neder. I'm going to donate $100, and I write a check, and I send a check, and the check doesn't make it. Do I have to send another check? Yes. Nedavah means I say this $100 goes to the Beit Knesset. If I send $100 and it gets lost, I don't have to send another $100. Nedavah means this $100. If this gets lost, I don't have to send another $100. The Torah says very careful. You have to be very careful with neder and nedavah. Very careful. As a matter of fact, when it gives the halachos, it says El Roshe Hamatos. Hashem gave the halachos of neder and nedavah not to the average Jewish people, to the nisiim, to the heads. Why? Because they have the power to be mater neder. If a person makes a neder and he regrets making the neder, we can do what's called hatarat nedarim. Before we give a get, we do hatarat nedarim.
Yeah?
Yes. So that the person is there out of their own free will. And people don't realize how careful you have to be with what you say. According to the halacha, if I say to you something like, will you meet me tomorrow in front of the Beit Knesset? And you say yes. And I say, are you sure? And you say, yes, yes. Just like that. Yes, yes. That's a neder. If you repeat the word yes twice,
Wow.
that's a neder. You just promised. And if you don't come, you violated a promise.
If I say just one time, I say,
No.
tomorrow I'm gonna meet you here.
Right. That's not a neder.
Okay.
You still have to keep your word. Because the Torah says, Kol hayotze mipiv yaseh. Whatever you say, you should do. So, if you don't come, and I'm waiting for you half an hour, that's called ona'at devarim. You oppressed me with words. That means it's a type of an abuse. Because I'm a very stickler on time, and I come on time, and you come half hour late, and I say, you kept me waiting half an hour, and you tell me that's Bukharian time, doesn't work. That doesn't work. Even though, today I had a closing, and my son walked in, and one of the ladies at the closing said, your son looks so Bukharian. Because he looks Sephardi, he looks very stark, he looks very Sephardi, and he married a Sephardi girl. Did he take after you or after your wife? So my wife said, she says, it's my husband. He hangs out with the Bukharians all the time. The children look like the Bukharians.
Right?
Yeah. I can think of worse things. That was a compliment. That was okay, no problem. But, it's what it is. It was a comment that was made. But you understand, if you say something and people go by what you say, and you keep them waiting, or you don't show up, it may not be violating a neder, but you're violating ona'ah. It means you have to keep your word. Or at least have the courtesy to call up and say, I can't make it. I'm sorry. That's okay. But the Torah is very specific. Ona'at devarim, the Torah, the Devarim, they're very careful. There's a whole Masechet Nedarim, Shavuot, is based on this week's Parasha. Now, it's not so simple. Let me give you an example. They bring down a story with Yiftach and Pinchas. Who was Yiftach? Who was Pinchas? Well, Pinchas we know. Pinchas was the Kohen Gadol. Not yet, but eventually he became the Kohen Gadol. Yiftach was one of the kings of Israel. He was a leader. And some people say he had a din of a melech. He had the law of a king. He was in Sefer Shoftim. He took over and he led the Jews to victory. What happened was, in one of the battles, before the battle, he made a tefillah to Hashem. He said to Hashem, if you help me with this battle, and I win, You know what I'm going to do for you? The first thing out of my house, I'm going to bring as a korban. Meaning a cow, a goat, a sheep, a bull, whatever it was. The first thing out of my house. When he came home, the first thing out of his house was his daughter.
Wow.
And when he saw his daughter coming out of the house, he started crying. Now, according to some opinions, he didn't kill his daughter, but she never got married. Not being married, it was like she died. Some people say she went to the mountains. Famous story, Yiftach's daughter. There's movies written about it, there's books written about it, Yiftach's daughter.
But maybe he means some sheep.
Of course he meant that.
But
So the Gemara says, he made a neder shelo kahog, and he didn't think. He made a promise he didn't think. And Hashem didn't give him the opportunity for the promise to come out good. It came out bad. Okay. So then the Gemara says, but what's the problem? He made a mistake. He's sorry. Let him go to the Bet Din and get released from the neder. Who was head of the Bet Din at that time was Pinchas, the Kohen Gadol. So the Gemara says, very strange. The Gemara says that Yiftach said, I'm the king. I should go to the Kohen Gadol. The Kohen Gadol should come to me. So he didn't go anywhere.
Gava.
Pinchas should have come to him. Pinchas knew the problem. He was the Navi. He knew the problem. He should have come to Yiftach and said, let me help you with your problem. Pinchas said, I'm the Kohen Gadol. I should go to him. He should come to me. In the end, nobody went anywhere. Ga'ava ruled the day. And they both got punished. Pinchas lost his nevuah. Hashem took the nevuah away from Pinchas.
Serious?
Serious.
He lost?
He lost it.
Wow.
And Yiftach, parts of his body fell off. Like he had diabetes or something, I don't know what it was. He lost a hand here, he lost a foot here, he lost a finger here. He never got buried in one place. He was buried over a whole mountain. There are little pieces of him all over the place.
How is it?
He had an infection on his finger fell off, so they buried the finger. Then his hand had an infection, so they buried the hand.
His punishment.
That was his punishment. Pinchas lost his nevuah, Yiftach was buried piece by piece. Why? Because he made a neder, he didn't think about the neder, and instead of going and doing the right thing, each one was stubborn because of the God. It's amazing. Really, it's amazing. It doesn't make any sense. But in Parshas Matos, we talk about all the laws of Nedarim. Then comes the next section, very difficult section. The next section is that Hashem says to Moshe, it's time to punish Midian. They sent all those girls, and remember, caused all the problems. Get an army together and attack Midian. And Moshe does. How many does he send? Some people say 1,000 from every Shevet. That's 12,000. Some people say it was 24,000. Some people say it was 36,000. Different opinions. And they go to Midian and they wipe everyone out. Okay? They kill everyone. Almost everyone. They kill all the men and a lot of the women, but they bring back a lot of the women and children. And look at what they brought back. It says, for example, that they brought back in animals 600,000 sheep and 70,000, a lot, we're talking about a lot of stuff. But they also brought back a lot of women and children. And Moshe got very angry. Why'd you bring back the women? They're the ones who did the Aveda in the first place. So Moshe says, any woman old enough to know a man should be killed. And all the children killed. Only the young girls who didn't have any relations with a man, who were young, they could be spared. How many young girls were there? 32,000. So if you think about it, it means that 32,000 girls from Midian, who were not Jewish, were now brought into the Jewish people. I guess someone adopted them and was megayer them. Moshe attacks Midian. He destroys all of Midian. He brings back hundreds of thousands of sheep and goat and cattle and donkeys and everything else. And they kill men, women, and children, left, right, and center. All ages. You know, it's hard to imagine. It's hard to imagine. Imagine you're a Jew. You accepted the Torah, and you go out to war, and you just killed 100,000 people. And not just soldiers. Young children who are 5, 6, 7 years old. Women who are 15, 16, 17 years old. It's scary. The army, the Jewish army, they went to Midian, they killed them all. It says that he sent them out, and, they killed everybody. They went out to Midian, and it says they killed the 5 kings of Midian, they killed Bilam, they wiped out all the cities, and they took, remember, that's all part of the 2.5 tribes. So most of Midian was wiped out. Moab, who was really behind the scenes, didn't get destroyed till David HaMelech. David HaMelech would take care of Moab. And Moshe gets very angry when they bring back all these captives, all these people. Why'd you leave them alive? So he says, Hirgu kol zachar batav, kill all the boys. If you had a baby boy that was 2 months old, Moshe said he has to be killed. Midian. V'chol isha, and every woman who is old enough to know what it means to have relations with a man, kill. And only the little girls you can leave alive.
How
2-year-old, 3-year-old.
Who don't understand what's going on.
That's right, who don't understand. Only the girls. The boys they kill.
In what reason? Why is he said like this?
That was his instructions from Hashem. That's how they fought wars in those days. They didn't take captives. And then, of the little girls, there were 32,000 little girls they kept.
Wow. What they do? They covered them?
What did they do with them?
Yeah.
So they must have brought them in, and they must have adopted them, they must have converted them.
Yeah, that's what they do. Oh, they're not Jews?
Midian, they're not Jewish.
Oh, Midian.
Okay? But it's strange, right? We don't think of the Torah that way. We don't think of the Jewish army that way. We don't fight wars that way. In those days, that's how they fought the wars. They didn't let anybody live. They came into a city, they killed everybody. So when you read the psukim, you don't catch this. I tell people, did you read did you understand what you just read? And then the soldiers that committed the crimes, for 7 days they had to be michus lamachaneh. They were tamei. That's part of it.
So in Chumash, I'm sorry for interrupting. In Chumash, we don't get it.
Unless you translate it, you don't get it.
I read translation. I understand. I was surprised. Why so many people they killed?
So many people. We're talking about they're killing hundreds of thousands of people. We're not talking about 5 people.
Is this next Parasha?
This week. We just read it. This Shabbos.
Thank you.
Okay?
Matot or Maseh?
Matos. And of course, and they brought all these pots and pans and dishes. So Moshe says we have to kosher them. So they put it into the fire, they put it into boiling hot water. Then of course there were dishes from Goyim, you have to take them to the mikveh.
Yeah, the
So silverware. So all the laws of kashrut here, how to kosher pots, pans, and dishes is in this week. And how to take everything to the mikveh is in this week. But in addition to that, 100,000 people died this week in Parshas Matos by Jewish soldiers. And you have to understand, one of the officers amongst the Jewish army was the Kohen Moshuach Milchama. I told you that last week. He was anointed. He was like as great as the Kohen Gadol.
He was a general.
He was in charge of the neshamot of the Jewish soldiers. Because Jewish soldiers who come back from war after killing thousands and thousands of people, it changes you. So his job was to remind them that you're Jewish. Now come back home and don't beat your wife and don't kill your neighbors. There's a Torah. Yesterday you were a soldier, you killed 100,000 people. Now come back and go to the yeshiva and learn Gemara and become a Jew again. It's very strange.
How does people read this? Many nations read this Torah.
Anybody can read it. It's in the Torah.
How
they understand that?
How do they understand it?
Yeah.
They were no different. What do you think the Crusades did?
Who's that crusade?
The Christians who would come and they did the same thing.
They
The
kill
only thing the
everybody.
Muslims
Maybe they
did,
learned from this parasha how the Jewish army to kill the Midian.
you know what? Midian was an example of people who caused the Jews to sin. When they went into Israel, right, Yoshua sent 3 letters. The first letter was, whoever wants to accept Judaism, accept Judaism.
Okay.
They said no way.
Ah.
Then Yeshua says, whoever wants to leave, leave. 3 nations left. There were 10 nations, 3 left.
Okay.
7 left.
7 remained.
Yeah.
And he says, whoever wants to remain, if you don't want to leave, and you don't want to accept Judaism, you want to fight, let's fight. 7 fought. How many survived those fights? Also he killed them. Yeshua killed everybody. They didn't leave anybody alive.
This is when the Midian,
When they came into Israel.
No, there's different things. The Midian.
Midian was before. Midian is this week. That will be in a year. So, you know, you have to understand.
But in
That's how they
Midian,
fought wars in those days.
when the Yeshua with Amy go to fight with Midian, they don't put this condition for them.
No. With Midian, they had no option.
No option.
Midian was part of killing and destroying and hurting the Jewish people. Hashem said to Moshe, Midian no longer has a purpose in this world. It's pretty scary stuff. I told him earlier I have to leave early because I'm giving you a couples event, so I'm leaving about 10 after 9. So you have to understand that what happened with Midian was very, very scary. Very scary, very, very unusual, and very, very scary. Okay, you have to understand that.
That's a dystopian.
Brutal.
Huh?
Brutal. Brutal.
How does we can understand this parasha?
The Jews are too brutal, he said. How can we understand this part? Brutal.
Very brutal.
What's hard to understand? That's how wars were fought.
Because they make it as
Have you ever seen the Civil War? Have you ever seen the World War I? They fought the same way.
Yeah.
They would shoot, they would come up, and with knives, they would just kill each other. 100,000 people died on the...
Yeah, but this becomes from the Jewish side, not from the day side.
Correct.
So, but usually the Torah
No,
says
no, no.
we don't have to kill,
The
we don't
war
have
is-
to do, we are more gentle and more...
War is end.
Они же подставили,
Давайте And them,
чтобы женщины смешные.
This was
after
one
this,
of the...
they make a decision to kill the people that not fighting. The fight is
The
stopped.
soldiers were the soldiers. But the other people were just as guilty. Who caused the Jewish people to sin? Who did Bilam send? The women. There are many different types of weapons.
Not all of
There
them.
was all the woman was married.
But not all women. Some women.
You know, when you fight a war, you know, let me ask you something. Let me ask,
200 тысяч женщин.
let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
What happened, what did the United States do to Hiroshima and Nagasaki?
Wiped out.
Wiped out. How?
Atom bomb.
Atom bomb.
That's it.
How many people died that day? Not a lot. Give me a number.
6 million.
A million.
Rabbi,
Now-
there's a different.
Well, no.
No.
The people of Hiroshima, 1 million people died that day.
There was no guilty all of them.
Were they guilty? What did they do?
No.
They were babies that were 2 years old. They didn't even. They were babies that were 6 months
Year
old.
after year, a lot of years continue the sick.
Still dying.
Still
all
sick and dying. What did they do?
Nothing.
The old men, grown men, they're fighting the war.
But when
not the
you,
kids.
as a country, declare war,
Yeah.
you put everybody at risk. What am I supposed to do? Kill only the soldiers? It's impossible.
I just want to say that Torah give the example how we be very tough with
Because
nation.
Hashem told to do this, they did it.
Yeah.
Hashem said to them, don't forgive them.
No.
Because if you let them go, they'll come again and they'll do other Avedot with you. Another Avedot.
Вот так. Надо жестоко показать, что Бог есть, значит.
It was your survival.
Yeah.
Your neshama survival meant Midian had to go. When David HaMelech sent his parents to Moab, and Moab should protect them,
They kill.
they were related. David and parents were, were related. They killed him. What did David HaMelech do? He got the army, he killed all of Moab. How many people? 600,000 people probably. because they killed his parents. That's how they fought the wars.
I think this parasha, Hashem told, if you don't do this, I'm gonna serve you as I do for them, because the purpose is to destroy them. If you don't kill them,
It's like Amalek. They were evil. They would come back and they would make you do a Avera later on.
С ними не могло быть мягко было. Они уже должны были убрать Бог, должен был убрать. Народ никуда не годится. Еще
The city of Shem, same thing.
okay,
You know, that's how they fought wars. So you need to understand that that's how they did. Then they divided up the land into 2.5 Shvatim, etc. The Benot Salavchad needed to, wanted to get married. So they just got a Nachala, so we were afraid that if they got married to other Shvatim, so then the Nachala would get mixed up. So they could only marry their relatives. That's what it was. But there's a very interesting story. If you look at the Parasha of Benot Salavchad, so if you look at it, it says that there's a story of a man who was looking for a shidduch for his daughter. And he looked all over, he found a boy, and he wanted his daughter to marry the boy. And the boy said yes, but the daughter said no. The daughter said, I don't want to marry him. So she says, what do you mean you don't want to marry him? I'm your father. This is the boy I want you to marry. So who's right? Is the father right, or does the girl have a right? So he went to one of the Rabbanim and asked the question. So the Rabbanim says, look at the pasuk. It says, Zeh hadavar asher tziva Hashem libnot tzalachah leibor. This is what Hashem told the daughters of Tzalachah. La tov be'einehem. Who you want, tiyena lenashim. You should marry. So according to the Torah, who did they marry? Whoever they wanted.
Not the father.
Not the father. So he said, you know what you see from here? What?
Father was wrong?
Father was wrong. It says the father can make suggestions, but at the end of the day, you can't push it. The girl has to want to marry.
Boy,
what about opposite? What about if the boy needs to be married? The father can power to tell him this girl or not this girl?
You can make suggestions.
Yes,
Even boy or girl.
That's it.
Even boy or girl.
Boy or girl doesn't make a difference. He can make suggestions,
And the advice to
but,
them.
and he can advise, he can make suggestions, but you can't force one or the other. You got to be very, very careful.
So they blame you. Oh, what you say, what you do, what you buy.
They're gonna blame you anyway. So don't worry about it. They're gonna blame you anyway. I saw someone said something a nice insight. There's a Mishnah in Pirkei Avot that says, "B'makom she'ein ish," where there's no person, "Ishtader liot ish," be a man, right? What that means is if you're in a group and something happens and no one stands up, stand up and
be a man. Yeah.
So someone said very interesting, a very nice insight. He says, normally people act differently when they're around people or when they're by themselves, right? When other people are watching, you of course act one way. When you're by yourself, who knows? So the Mishnah says, but makom, in a place she'ein ish, no one is watching. Still, ishtader liot ish, be a man as if everybody was watching. That means when you're by yourself in your house, pretend everybody's watching. That means act like everybody's watching. Be a different person. I'm speaking tonight in the couples event. So I have over here, listen to this. There's an interesting little thing over here. What your wife said or what you heard. You understand?
Yeah.
Your wife says something,
You heard different.
and what you heard and what she meant. Okay? Let me give you an example.
And
Okay?
the same when you said.
And the same thing. You speak to your wife, and your wife says to you, do whatever you want. What do you understand? You understand that my wife is telling me I can do whatever I want. Right?
Yes.
What she means is, whatever you do, don't do what you want. What I want is that you should keep asking me what you should do until I'm ready to answer you. And then when I'm ready to answer you, do what I tell you. Okay? When your wife says, I'll be ready in a minute,
You'll take it 1 hour.
What that means is, the man hears, oh, she's almost ready, I'm gonna go warm up the car.
Yeah.
What she says is, I'll be ready in half an hour.
Yeah.
So get something to eat, relax.
Yeah.
And when I come down, if you don't say right away that the dress I'm wearing is beautiful, I'm gonna go upstairs and gonna take another half hour.
Oh, I told you 1 hour.
What?
Is it now this time or it's like
This is something that I saw an article in the
no,
newspaper.
it's 1,000 years ago, so it's now it's different.
I don't know if it's any different.
So
Number
1 hour
3.
becomes 1 hour.
When your wife says,
Yeah.
watch the kids,
Means
what is the man here? It means I'm gonna check my emails, I'm gonna catch up on work, I'm gonna rest on the couch, and if the kids need something, they'll call me.
yeah.
What she means is,
Stay with
give them dinner, bathe the baby, read them bedtime stories, put them to sleep, so when I come home, the kids are, everything is done.
Uh-huh.
That's what she means.
Правильно?
When there's a birthday or an anniversary, and the wife says, you don't need to buy me anything. What the man hears is that, wow, I got a great wife, she doesn't want me to buy her anything. What she means is, if you really love me, you'll buy me something. And if you don't know what I want, you're going to ask my best friend or my mother what I want. But don't you not buy me something. When when you tell your wife something and she says, what? What the man thinks is, oh, she didn't hear me because the dishwasher was going or the phone was ringing, so he repeats himself. What she meant to say is, I can't believe you just said what you said. So I'm going to say what, so you can think a few minutes, and you better not say it again. Okay? When you ask your wife how she's doing, and she says, I'm fine. What a man hears is, she's okay. Leave her alone, she's okay. What she means is, I haven't slept for 2 days, I have the flu, I'm behind at work, and I can't believe you just invited your parents for the weekend. When a wife says to you, I'm not arguing, the man hears, oh, she finally agrees with me. What the wife really is saying is, I'm not going to keep repeating myself. You know I'm right and you're wrong. So I'm not going to argue about it. Just admit you're wrong.
What a tough one.
When the wife says, what did you do? Who did you see? What did you say? The man hears, she's just making conversation because she doesn't really have anything to say. I'm not going to answer her. What the wife is saying is, I care about you. That's why I asked those questions. Now I want you to ask me how my day was and what I'm doing and how everything is by me. And if you don't, it means you don't love me.
Very tough.
We need this copy and put
Advertise.
I don't know, if I say it tonight at the couples event, the guys will like it and the girls will kill
You
me.
need them? I mean, can we have a copy tomorrow?
I need it tonight, I'm speaking in 20 minutes, I'm leaving in 10 minutes, I gotta go to a couple.
So
Then
next-
I will make, then I'll bring it back to you.
Next week, I hope.
Okay, now it's commentary, Rabbi. A commentary. Why? How the two person, the different woman and man,
Understanding.
living long time for marriage? Of course, there's gonna be a lot of problems. Don't misunderstanding each other.
So
How
I have
how we
here,
can make a peace with wife?
Okay, so I-
Shalom bite.
believe it or not,
how?
I have here an article which I found was good. 10 tips after you've been married 20 years or more.
Put them some tips.
tips.
Ten.
With,
Then tips Savet.
10 pieces of advice.
Fine. Okay.
okay.
If you've been married for more than 20 years. What I have here an article. How you survive. Now, you see, I've been married 39 years.
Wow.
A long
That's a
time.
double.
And I don't have one gray hair. It's amazing.
How you survive? How you survive? Still survive?
Ya, no se lo vamos a видеть.
There's a saying, to survive that long in marriage, you have to just know 3 words. You are right, I forgive you, I love you. Just 3 words. Just 3 words.
Can't see
Wow.
the people.
If you, as a man, talk more than 3 words,
That's it.
you're
You're in trouble.
finished.
Wow.
Only you right,
You are right.
you are right.
I was wrong.
I was wrong.
I love you. I forgive you.
Four.
Keep. I forgive you.
I mean four.
Just always remember, whatever you say,
3 words only.
never say more than 3 words.
I love you. I forgive you.
I forgive you. I was
You
wrong.
are right. I
You
was
were right. Whatever it is, 3 words.
No more.
If you-
Any
if
sentence
you-
on 3 words.
If whatever the problem is, you use more than 3 words, you're finished.
Amdel, nu Israel. Sete ziua gaudent tot timpul cu cine mă mai
Okay?
We talk about for Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. 3 words.
3 words. But here it's not bad. This is some good advice here. It says here 10 tips. I don't know if I have all the 10 tips. I'll give you 1 or 2 tips real quick. Tip number 1. It says here,
Совет номер 1, давайте.
Okay.
Number 1.
if you've been married for more than 20 years,
Okay.
make yourself an easy person to apologize to. That means whatever the problem is, if your wife says she's sorry, forgive her. And if you're sorry, she should forgive you. That means if you've been married 20 years, what are you fighting about? When you've been married 20 years, just
You know
you're
each
sorry,
other,
you're sorry.
you're one
You'll make it
What
good,
if less?
right? It's easy.
Easy.
Number 2, what you think is right may not always be right. You're just used to doing it a certain way. Always keep an open mind. There's different ways to cook chicken. There's different ways to run your life. There's always 2 sides. Number 3, always respect your spouse's family. Her family and your family.
Yeah.
Always respect the family.
Oh.
Whatever. Her parents, your parents, her brothers and sisters,
Yeah.
you know,
Mother-in-law.
whatever. Always respect. Never ever disrespect her family or let her disrespect your family. Don't keep secrets because there are no secrets today.
Don't keep
Don't
secret.
keep secrets.
Uh-huh.
Whatever, it's impossible. There's no secrets. So you might as well tell your wife the truth because she's going to find out anyway because you can deal with the truth. If you start keeping secrets, she'll never trust you. Don't keep secrets.
You're right.
Learn that you will never change, probably, and she will never change. So stop trying to change each other. She is who she is, you are who you are. Find a way to make it work.
Community.
Okay? Your marriage comes first, not your children. There are many women who put the children before the husband, and there are many husbands who put the children before the wife. His advice is, a strong marriage is the best for the children. So if you put the children first, and the marriage suffers, who's going to be hurt the most?
Kids.
The kids.
Okay.
So make the marriage first. Always make the marriage first. When you come to dinner, I'll give you an example. When my wife and I eat dinner, we almost never eat the same thing except on Shabbat. I have my meal, she's on all these different diets, so she has her meal. So he says over here, it's nothing wrong if you eat one food and she's eating a different food. As long as you're at the table together, even if you're eating supper and she's not ready to eat. So she sits at the table, she's having a cup of coffee. No problem. Don't scream at your wife, I want you to eat supper with me. And she shouldn't say, I want you to eat supper with me. Just spend time together, 10 minutes a day, 20 minutes a day. You don't have to eat together. If there's things you want to talk about with your wife, write it down, make a list. Not that at the end of the week, your wife says, how come you didn't tell me? He says, he didn't tell you? I meant to tell you, I forgot to tell you. You know, when you get older, you forget. So write it down. I have on my desk papers. If you come, my schedule for the next few days I have. But if there's things I want to talk to my wife and she's teaching, I write it down. And when she comes home, I have it in front of me so I don't forget. I take messages. I do that. Number 9. You know what it says here? If you've been married 20 years, you know what it says?
What?
Find someone who's married 30 years and ask them how they did it. Get tips from people who are married longer than you. Learn from other people who are married longer.
Okay.
Get advice.
Show me the way.
And his last thing is, remember, in a marriage, you don't both give 50%. You both have to give 100%. It's not 50-50. It's
100
100.
and 100.
So those are some of the things I'm going to say tonight. Will it be okay, you think?
Yeah.
Okay.
Those couple are gonna be over the, I don't know.
Yeah, but
I don't know.
appreciate
Will I
it.
survive? That's the question.
Quadra, appreciate it is most important. If all life must to be appreciated, not just for family.
Easy
But
to
not
say.
everybody.
Easy to
Understanding
say.
that. Not
Easy to
everybody
say. The
understands.
life.
Not everybody understands. Listen to this question. I'm gonna have to excuse myself. I told you I have to go early. Listen to this last question. Very interesting question. A person owns a two-family house. Okay? And they want to sell the house. Let's say I own a two-family house. I want to sell it. So you're one of my tenants. You live in the house. So you come to me and you say, you know what? You don't have to sell it. I'll buy it from you. I live in the house anyway. I'll buy it from you. You don't need a real estate agent. You don't need anything. It'll be cheap. And I agreed. I said, good. It's worth $600,000. I'll give you $600,000. And we make a contract, and you're going and you apply for a mortgage, and everything's going good. All of a sudden, the next door neighbor hears I'm selling the house. I says, yeah, I'm selling the house, but it's okay. He's buying it. No, he's my tenant. He's buying it. So he says, no. According to the halacha, who has the right to buy the house first?
Neighbor.
The neighbor.
Wow.
Because I own a house and I want to build out. So if I buy your house, I can put the two houses together.
Neighbor.
The neighbor is called bar mitzvahs first. He just rents. I'm before him. According to the Torah, you have to sell it to me. I'll give you the same $600,000. But I'm in contract. He says, I don't care. It's against the halacha. Let's go to Bet Din. What is the halacha? Who's right? The answer is going to surprise you.
If Allah says so.
The neighbor is right.
But he need to pay the same price or even more.
He has to pay the same price. He has to meet the price. And by halacha, since he owns the house, and if he wants to build a bigger house, he can't unless he buys the neighbor. He has the first right. He's just renting. Now, if I already closed, and the house was already transferred to his name, it's too late. I don't have to be mevatel the sale. But if I'm only in contract, I have to go to him, if he's a Jew, and say to him, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. I thought I could sell it to you, but I can't.
And now it's also.
If your family brother or sister.
Makes no difference. The
The
neighbor
neighbor?
has the first right.
Wow.
Isn't that scary?
Right
course
now,
scary.
And it works right now. They keep
Yeah.
doing it. I mean, they
Did you have any experience here?
Yeah.
This is the experience I had. In Kew Gardens, there's a complex, like a condo,
Yeah.
where 12 units. So if you owned, let's say 12 units, I'll give you an example. 4 buildings, like this, or 4 buildings. So if you own the bottom floor, and now you bought it when you had 1 child, now you have 8 children. So some of them bought the apartment above, and they built a staircase inside, a spiral staircase. So they did that. They bought 2. This person, right, had his apartment. The one above was selling. So he said, I'll buy it. Whatever the price is, I'll match it. Someone from outside the community wanted to buy it, a very rich man. So he says, how much is the apartment worth? 300. He said, I'll give you 400. The guy says, I'm sorry, you have to sell it to me. Halakha. So they came to me, and I said, you have to sell it to the person that's there.
What about the price? They pay the same price for
Not the
100?
same price for it. You can't make it anywhere. Whatever the market value is, that's what you have to
The
sell.
one is for 340, but the rich man pay 400.
Makes no difference. He has the first right, whatever the market value is.
So he gonna buy for 400.
Or, whatever the settle was, 300. He started,
okay.
yeah. He got so angry, this rich man, he went to every rabbi in Kew Gardens, every Rosh Yeshiva, and they all said I was wrong. They all said I was wrong. And I says, you can all say what you want, but I'm right, and I'm not going to back off. That's me. If you know me by now, you know already. What I'm telling you is no surprise. So They said, let's agree that we'll go to the Bet Din in Muncie called Machon Lahara. It's a big Bet Din. And we'll ask one of the Dayanim there, Rabbi Rosenberg. And whatever he says, we'll do. I agree. That's fine. Everybody agreed. They went to Rabbi Rosenberg. Rabbi Rosenberg said,
What do you tell?
and
Neighbor.
I'm right. The neighbor has the first right. And the neighbor bought it. The other guy doesn't talk to me anymore, but the neighbor bought it.
Why rich man wanted to buy it?
What?
If he's Jew, why he didn't let him buy it?
He wanted his daughter to move into Kew Gardens, and that was a beautiful opportunity. But the guy who had the apartment says, I have 3 kids now. I need the space. If I can't move, where am I going to go? I can only build up. I can only build this way, that way, or up. So when it's selling, the neighbor has the right
To build up.
to build up. Neighbor is always first.
2 buildings. What should, if this neighbor want to buy the same unit and the neighbor from the downstairs want to buy the same unit?
So there, maybe you have to put the names in a hat and you just do a go roll and see.
So who's gonna give more?
Or maybe you can see who's
Yeah.
going to get more. But if this guy doesn't own his house, he's only renting, and this guy owns,
You have to sell to own.
sell it to him. That's the halacha. Have a good night. I'm sorry, gentlemen.
Good night.